Let me hit record. I'm hit record for all the people that couldn't be here. We're going to put it on YouTube. So I'm Jason Morris, and this is Real Estate Agents That Really Work. And why do most agents struggle? So I'm going to give you 3 reasons. So I was thinking about, and if you guys have questions, feel free to post them. I'll get to them either during it or at the end. So why do agents struggle? I thought that this was a good topic. I see a lot of agents out there struggling. I want to help you, give you some strategies. My goal today is tell you some reasons why agents are struggling, tell you some things you might be going through yourself that you might already know that you're struggling with, but hopefully give you a few strategies that you can take away from this that might help you later on. So number 1, I believe that the reason most agents are struggling is mindset. You know, there's a lot of agents out there, and I think this is wild. Like they get into the business, they spend $1,000 on classes to get their license, $1,000, $2,000 to join the board, whatever it is. Hey, Donovan. And they truly believe they are going to fail. And it's wild. Like their significant other, their spouse thinks they're going to fail. Their parents think they're going to fail. Then they go to the office. They join an office, and this is unbelievable to me. They join an office that you walk into, and I was in an office like this one time, and I left, and you'd walk into the office, and it would be like walking into a funeral home. Nobody there was happy. Nobody was excited to be there. Nobody thought they were going to succeed. I mean, I'll tell you what, I was in an office in 2008 where the lady that was the team leader, broker in charge, I think she had both positions at that time. It was like September. It was late September. We have an office meeting. It's like 45 people in the room. And she literally hands out a list of the places in the mall that are going to be hiring for Christmas help. It says, I know a lot of you guys are having problems. A lot of you guys are having a tough time financially. I went to the mall and I made a list of everybody that would be hiring for Christmas help, and I want to pass it out to you guys. And she passed out a list of places hiring in the mall. Now, the world, I believe the world was like depressed in 2008, 2009. I mean, nobody was making money. It was like everybody was giving something back, whether it was a car or a house or only God knows what. Real estate prices were plummeting so fast you couldn't hardly do it. And I'll tell you what, at that point, I've been trying to build a team in 2008. I was generating a lot of leads. I had massive lead flow, but man, I was struggling to get agents on my team. I was struggling to get agents to just come work with me. And I mean, man, I'm a positive guy. Even in 2008, I felt like, hey, I know I can succeed. It's just going to be a little harder than what it was in 2006. And I'm sitting in that meeting and I see this happen, and I go, damn, this is why I'm having problems right here. This is why I'm having problems, because instead of my broker in charge supporting me, wanting me to build a team, wanting me to be successful, wanting the people around me to be successful, she's talking about who's hiring at the mall. I immediately started interviewing offices. I interviewed with everybody. And I'll tell you what I was looking for, guys. I wasn't looking for necessarily the best commission split. I wasn't looking for necessarily the cheapest monthly fee. I wasn't necessarily looking for the best of anything except for the environment that I was in. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for an environment where people were excited to be there. Raise your hand if that excites you. Do you want to be in an environment where people are excited to be there, or do you want to be in an environment that's the equivalent of going to a funeral home? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Put if you're on Facebook, put one in the thing if you want to be in an exciting environment, right? I believe that we got to do this, and I believe that if you're not in one, you need to go out and you need to create that exciting environment, right? I believe that most of you guys are failing. I believe that most of you are not doing well in the fall, and most of you are not doing well. And the reason you're not doing well is because you start calling for sale by owners, you start calling expireds, you start calling people, and the first thing that happens is you go to the office and you're getting a little bit of traction, and you're telling people what you're doing, right? Because you're excited. Anytime you're doing something exciting, hell, it's exciting. New stuff's exciting. Press 1. Press 1 if you get excited about doing something new that other people are successful with. Okay? But then you go to your office and you start telling other agents, yeah, man, I got 2 listing appointments this week. Been calling for sale by owners. Things are going great. I'm using Jason Morris's script, I bought his book, How to Be a FSBO Master, right? But you go to the office and agents go, oh, calling for sale by owners sucks. It don't work. There's so many people calling. And then press 2 if this happens to you. You get that little pit in your stomach where you're going like, man, maybe this isn't working. God, I did have a hard day on the phone yesterday. I did go to 2 listing appointments in a row and they didn't sign paperwork with me, even though they really, really liked me. How many of you guys have had that to happen? Where all of a sudden that agent makes that one negative comment about you making calls, or you go on Facebook and you see that somebody posted ZBuyer isn't working for them. It's not working for them because they are not working the leads, and that's the truth. They're not calling. They're not making calls. They're not following up. They're calling one time and going, man, I called one time and nobody called me back. Guys, that's happening to a lot of agents right now. I mean, here's the thing. People will not call you back in the summer. I'm going to tell you this. If you don't take anything else away from this webinar today, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you why. People will not typically call you back during the summer. You need to leave a voicemail. You need to leave a voicemail for every single person you call, because sometimes they do call back, right? But you don't get as many callbacks in the summer, and the reason why is because everybody's busy. It doesn't get dark till 8 o'clock at night, right? So where 3 or 4 months ago, everybody get home, 5:30, man, it's pitch black at 6 o'clock. And the thing about it was everybody stayed in the house. Now it's sunny, it's beautiful, the weather's nice. Man, they're going to the pool, they're going to the beach, they're going and doing things with their kids, they're going and doing stuff out in the yard. Man, this time of year, people are just busy. So with that being said, too, you got to vary your times to call. But that's why people aren't calling you back. You cannot leave one message in hope. A lot of agents are using the strategy of hope. They leave one message and something happens. But they don't have the mindset to succeed, and the people around them don't have the mindset to succeed. So I wrote down 3 quick things that you can do about it. Number 1 is you need to join some sort of motivational program, some sort of coaching group, something like this. And I'm not even trying to sell you mine in this number 1. You need to be a part of something. I'm always a part of something. I'm always going through a course. I'm always going through some sort of webinars. I'm always listening to somebody regularly. And Suzanne asked, I can't remember who I call and when to call back. How do I cover that? Suzanne, if you don't have anything else, well, if you're using RedX, you got a CRM and you can schedule your next call. If you're not using RedX, print it out and just have a stack of papers. You don't need a fancy CRM, right? I mean, a CRM helps if you use the CRM, but most of us in the real estate industry, I find that on a disc test, we're usually D's and I's, and we're usually low S's and C's. If you guys have never done a disc test, you guys should do one, because the information you're going to learn in it is you're going to learn a lot about yourself doing it, right? So, but typically most of us are high D's and high I's, which mean we have goals and we don't really care what we got to do to get there, but we're not real organized, right? That's typically what we are. So lots of us CRMs just don't work for us. We can subscribe to Lion Desk, we can subscribe to the best thing ever. And what typically happens is we miss a couple of days going in our database, and then we log in and we see 100 reminders up there, and we go, oh shit, I got all those. I can't do it. Then what happens is you just quit logging in because you don't want to see the reminders, right? For me, I'll tell you the best CRM I've ever used. The best CRM I've ever used is a spiral notebook. You put Suzanne said, no, I meant what to say. What do I say to the seller when he calls me back and I don't know which house he owns? Suzanne, you got to take notes. And sometimes if you don't know which house he owns, just say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm not in my office right now. Can I get your name? Can I get your name real quick? And I'll give you a call back when I got all my information in front of me. Which house was it that was yours? I called quite a few people this morning. I called several people this morning. Which property was it, George, you want to sell? Okay, give me about 20 minutes. I'll be back in my office and I'll give you a call. That's a fantastic line to use, right? I mean, just simple, short. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Go look it up real quick and call him. So you got to join some sort of program with like-minded people, right? You got to have something where people are doing the same thing you're doing. That way you have a support group. Most agents have zero support group. You know, most of them have most people have no support group at all. They have nobody they can bounce questions off of, nobody they can set goals with, no accountability. So you got to join a group that gives you some sort of accountability. Now, number two, I'll tell you one thing for me that always helps me is reading and listening to positive material, listening to webinars, listening to stuff that where people are doing things. You know, I mean, that's the big thing. Listening to something where people are doing stuff. Listening to people that are doing more than me. I think that's like, or that have done more than me, right? Now, that's number two. Number three is evaluate the environment you are in. So I was going to put, evaluate your top 5 friends and all that stuff, but I feel like that's almost overplayed because we can have 5 best friends that are super successful and all that stuff. But if we're taking and we're going to an office that sucks every day and we're going and being around, we got an environment that just sucks all the way around. And we're just steady getting beat up and we're steady getting talked down to by the people around us, then, those 5 best friends aren't going to do much for you. You can go hang out with them, talk about all the big things you're doing at lunch, and then go home and get beat up, or go to your office and get beat up on what you're doing. You need to do a total environment evaluation. Look at everything in your life. Who is negative? Who is telling you no? Who is telling you that you cannot do something? You got to do this, guys. The number 2 thing that you got to take away from this, if you take anything else away, besides what we talked about a few minutes ago, number 2 is take away evaluating your environment. Because like I said, you can have amazing friends that are doing amazing things, they're really supportive for you, but if your environment as a whole sucks, it's going to be really tough for you. The toughest thing to overcome in the real estate business is not other agents in your competition, because there is never as much competition as what you think there is. There's never as much competition as what you think there is. The hardest thing to overcome is the thoughts and the self-talk you have in your head. And a lot of that self-talk and the things you have in your head are put there by other people. We have allowed them to take up space in our mind. We have allowed their opinions that suck to take up space in our mind. We have allowed the opinion of a person that listed 2 homes last year to tell us how to list homes in 2018, right? How many of you guys have ever went to your office or went on Facebook and you see an agent putting advice out there that is negative towards what you're doing? However, they haven't sold a house in 2016. I bet half the agents that are licensed out there put yes if that has happened to you. Yes. If you have seen negative advice on Facebook, negative advice in your office, or negative advice towards real estate in your life by somebody, and that negative advice has come from somebody that hadn't even sold a piece of real estate in 2018, put yes for that if you've seen that. I think it's unbelievable, some of the people that we're taking advice from. It's unbelievable. And some of the agents that are out there really digging in and listening to some people that haven't sold a house this year. So guys, the number 2 thing, agents are not succeeding because they don't have the tools. They don't have the tools to set up the close. Now, I'm not talking about a new fancy smartphone. I'm not talking about a new iPad. I'm not talking about, any of this other stuff out here, man. What I'm talking about is the skill set. A lot of agents don't have the skill set they need. They don't have the tools. They're not even going and looking for the tools, a lot of them. What they're doing is they're looking for that agent. Like I said, they're looking for that agent that's negative that they can, and that's the person they're listening to, So the thing is, 3 things that you got to have. You got to have. Number 1, you got to have a pre-appointment package. You got to have something that talks about you, your team, and what you do to sell houses. Or you, your team, and what process you take buyers through, right? You got to have something that's going to set expectations. Any other professional in the world, any other professional has something that sets expectations. If you go to the dentist, you are going, before you get there, they're going to tell you what to do. If you go to a doctor that's a specialist, before you get there, they're going to tell you what to do, what to expect. As real estate agents, any other professional basically has some sort of information about, hey, what do you need when you show up, what to expect, except for real estate agents. We think we can show up places and we can just wing it. Hey, I got a real estate license. Man, here you go. Here's my card. I put my picture on there. It looks good. Looks good. I got a QR code on the back, I thought that was the funniest thing. That was the biggest waste of money in the real estate industry was QR codes. You put a thing on your sign that you had to literally get out and have a special app on your phone to be able to read it. I mean, whoever thought those things were going to take off, man, we're crazy. But you got to have a pre-appointment package. You got to do something to set expectations, right? Number 2, you got to use scripts and dialogues. If you're a subscriber to RedX, or if you want to subscribe to RedX, you can just tell them you're in my group, and they waive the $150 setup fee. But they also have a free role-playing hotline, right? Because the thing is, they want you to subscribe to their product, of course, but they want to help you get better at subscribing, at using their product, right? So they've set up a free role-play hotline for their subscribers. So guys, you got to use scripts and dialogues, though, and you got to stick with the same one. And here's the reason. Most agents, the reason why they fail using scripts and dialogues is because they don't stick with it long enough to be able to know all the answers to the questions they're asking, right? So every time you switch scripts, there's going to be new answers to those questions, right? There's going to be new objections. Sometimes if you're not following a script, I see a lot of agents out there not following a script, and what happens is they create objections for themselves. Have you ever been on the phone with somebody and said something, and as soon as it come out of your mouth, you're like, oh, shit. And literally you created the objection? Have you ever done that? Type yes below if you have. I tell you, I've done it. I've been guilty about it. And it happens. We all do it sometimes because we're not following a script. But the thing is, after you've talked to 100 sellers, after you've asked those same questions to 500, 1,000 sellers, right? What you're going to start to realize is you know all the answers. You're going to start realizing that you can actually anticipate the answer to the question before you ask the question. It almost makes you psychic. It's really weird. It's really weird how that happens. In my group coaching, I've done a lot of live calls and stuff in the past. They're still recorded and in the archives and stuff. Some of the agents would go like, hey, man, I can't believe you set so many appointments today. And it would just be 2 or 3 appointments that I'd set an hour. The reason why I was able to do that is because I used the script and dialogue, and I've been using that same. I probably asked those same questions to 10,000 sellers, right? I think Bruce Lee had a quote that said, fear not the man that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times. It's something like that, right? This is that same idea. If you've asked that same question 1,000 times, 5,000 times, 10,000 times, man, you can almost, you know what? I'll tell you this. After I learned how to use the DISC test, and how it applied to me and how it applied to people I was hiring. This was years ago. What I started doing on the phone was I started analyzing the things people were telling me based on the DISC test, and trying to figure out what type of personality profile they are based on our 2-minute conversation, 3-minute conversation. And the only way you can get that good at being on the phone, talking with the people, and in the sales process is by going through real training and systems. And that's one of the things that we're missing, I feel like, is we're missing real training and systems in the real estate industry. For some reason, we don't believe we're a sales industry, right? So the next thing, the number 3, and this is the last thing that I feel like agents want. Well, I could come up with 100 of these things, but I only wanted to share 3 because I knew that you guys were on a time limit this morning. I didn't want to take up your whole morning. But the number 3 thing that I think that the reason why most agents are struggling and they're not succeeding is no goals. I mean, I'll tell you this, at different times in life, like I've got discouraged and I've abandoned my goals, right? Or I've abandoned certain goals, right? And the thing is, when you don't have any goals, you're happy with just getting by, or you're content with just getting by. You're okay with the status quo. You're okay. Hey, I sold a property this month. Man, I got money to pay my bills. My wife's making money. My husband's making money. My significant other's making money, whatever it is. But you don't have any personal goals. How do you strive to succeed if you don't have any personal goals? And that's one of the things I feel like agents struggle with the most is, number 1, they don't know how to set goals. They just don't. They don't know they don't track their goals. They're not looking at their goals every day. And I'll tell you 3 things that you need to do about it. Is number 1, you need to set goals. And that goal can be something small. It can be something big. That goal, you need to review your goals every morning. You need to think about your goals, right? If you're not thinking about your goals, nobody else is going to think about them for you. And then you need to regularly go back through them. Sometimes, and I've done this before too, is sometimes I've had goals. Sometimes I've had big things I want to do. And the thing is that those goals kind of went through the wayside, I didn't ever work on them, right? Exactly, Arthur. No goals, a ship out in the ocean with no map, no sail, and no direction, right? Sometimes, though, I'll tell you what, sometimes when we're working really hard on our goals and we're working really hard, just period, sometimes we kind of realize that that maybe our goal wasn't something we actually wanted. This is why I say you got to regularly evaluate your goals. Sometimes that goal isn't something we wanted. Sometimes that goal is too small. Sometimes you say, hey, I want to take 5 listings a month or 10 listings a month. And you start going then you start getting to where, hey, you took 3 or 4 in a week, and then you took another 4 the next week, and you're halfway through the month. And hey, man, you got 2 weeks left and only 2 more listings to hit your goal. Sometimes we have to evaluate our goal and go, hey, man, I had that great week. How can I have another great week like that? Guys. So, guys, I want to help you guys. If you guys are struggling, I want to help you. I think that a lot of agents need help. I think that a lot of agents don't quite understand. And I'm going to tell you, my group coaching, I want to tell you what it includes real quick. Number 1, I just wrote down 10 quick things here that I know is in my group coaching. It's more than this. You guys can ask anybody that's in it. But every week we have a weekly call on Thursdays. I usually try to do another live call during the week sometimes. Number 2, I got a private group that I frequent daily. Other agents are in there daily. People are asking questions. Other agents are giving their opinion, talking about how they handle it in their market. It's a group of like-minded individuals. That is worth the cost of being in group coaching, I feel like. having that network of agents that you can ask questions to, that you can network with, you can talk about your goals with, right? Number 3, I'm going to teach you how to list expired listings. I'm going to teach you how to go out and get expired listings. Number 4, I'm going to teach you how to list for sale owners, right? Number 5, I'm going to teach you how to get listings in a tough market, because I know a lot of you guys are in tough markets. I have agents literally in just about every market in the country, every variation of a market that you can think of, they're in there. I've got agents that are in markets that are going insane, but then I've got agents in markets that are really slow, and agents that are succeeding in both. Number 6, I'm going to teach you how to take massive action. I talk about taking massive action and getting your business ramped up to the level you need it. And a lot of you guys need to get your business ramped up. You know, if you get it ramped up and you get that momentum behind you, that's when things are going to take off. Right? When you get your business ramped up. Number 7, I'm going to teach you how to set up a schedule that really works. Do you guys have a schedule where literally you're all over the place? You can't plan nothing in life. You're canceling things with your family, your friends, and everybody. I'm going to teach you how to do away with that. I actually had an agent that messaged me, this in my group coaching, that told me that she felt guilty because she had so much time in the afternoons and weekends, which I think is insane that agents are feeling that way. Right? Why should you feel guilty about taking the afternoon off? Why should you feel guilty about taking the weekend off, right? Number 8, I'm going to teach you how to hire a buyer's agent, where to get a buyer's agent from, and how to set up something that works for you and them. Number 9, you're going to learn how to build a listing-based business. You're going to learn how to take back your time, leverage your business, and you're going to learn how to really make money, not just constantly spend money in the real estate business, because I feel like there's a lot of those programs out there and that's what they do. And number 10, I'm going to tell you mindset strategies that I have personally used that have helped me over the years. And gosh, guys, I've been in every situation you can be in. I've been divorced. I've lost money. I've had days that didn't work out. I've had weeks that didn't work out. I've had what it seemed like months that didn't work out. Right? And the thing is, building that tough mindset and building a mindset to be able to get through those things is one of the most important skill sets that you can build in the real estate business, is having that mindset, that tough mindset. Here's the thing, guys. Now, my group coaching's month to month. You get access to all the archives. There's a file section with scripts and all kind of stuff in there. It's regular $99 a month. If you guys join today, it's $35 a month. You can use the coupon code June35 at Jason Morris Group Coaching. So, guys, what questions do you guys have? Do you guys have any questions? Do you have anything you want to talk about real quick before we get off the call? You guys on Zoom, do you guys have any questions for me? Do you have any questions about what we talked about today? You guys on Facebook, do you guys have any questions? Anything that we talked about today? Do you have any problems in your business that you're trying to overcome? Do you have any issues? My office offers training. Yeah, that's it. That's actually a good question. You know, the offices that offer training, I'll tell you one of the things. One of the things with offices offering training is look at what the production is in the office to decide how good the training is, right? Look at who's teaching the class. I've been at several offices before where they had people teaching classes that didn't actually sell real estate or were never actually successful selling real estate, but they're teaching the best practices on something that they've never actually done. For me personally, I like to work with people that have actually done it. That's who I like to seek advice from. You know, how do you set your schedule in stone? The number one thing I think you need to do is you need to write down your schedule. And I'll give you guys a quick quick and easy way. Number one, you need to put all family time down. You need to take your kid's school schedule, whatever it is, whatever plans. If you guys have date night on Tuesdays, whatever it is, put all that stuff in your planner. Put all that stuff in your planner. And number two, you need to list all your business commitments out, right? The things that will not change for you. The times of my group coaching call on Thursdays. If you're participating in chamber networking events, I'm not telling you not to do it, but you need to write down the time in your schedule because we need to plan around it. Number three, we need to put in all lead generation time. We got to put in all lead generation time. And the reason why we got to do that is because if we do not plan it, we're not going to do it. And then that schedule that you have. And then number four, we need to put down everything else, whether it's paperwork for your office, whatever it is. Now, the reason why, and then this schedule, you need to give it to your significant other. You need to actually give it to other people, right? The people that you are closest to, the people that are calling you, the people that you live your daily life with. Hey, this is my work schedule. If you were at any other job, you would have a schedule. Then you got to really just follow it. I mean, that's the big thing. You got to follow it. So, and here's the thing, I believe lead generation time, the time that you're generating leads for your business is the time you're generating income. And that is the most important thing you can do for your business. Lead generating, setting up appointments, that's what's going to fuel your business. That's what is going to fuel your business. That is the most important time. So Adam asked, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them. I'm happy to answer them here. I got some time. Adam asked, with for sale by owners selling on their own, how can we list them? Man, one of the things we got to do with for sale by owners is we got to make sure we're very diligent, right? And you can't wait to follow up. Sometimes, man, if we have a great, meaningful conversation today with them, but they're not ready to list, we can just call them back tomorrow. Look for a reason to call them back about. That's why I wrote my follow-up day planner, but I only have follow-ups for every week in there, but there's a lot of ideas you can use over and over. But look for a reason to call them. Look for, sometimes you got to make up a reason. Hey, Mr. Seller, we talked yesterday about your house and you want $150,000 for it. Man, I tell you what, we just had one go under contract down the street. Now, don't lie. Look it up on MLS and find one that went down on their contract. Find something that you can talk to them about that would be of value. That's not Adam. That's not calling them up and saying, "Hey, Adam, Jason Morris here again with eXp Realty. Man, talked yesterday. Hey, I know you wasn't ready. I know you wasn't ready to list yesterday, but how about today?" We can't really do that, right? We have to call them with something of value. And you were right, dude. When this market shifts, and we start seeing days on the market get longer, dude, it's an amazing time to get in, because if you get the habit of following up diligently and quickly now, and you take that habit that you built now into the market when we do go through the next slump, the next downturn, the next slowdown, dude, you're going to crush it, man. If you build a skill set in the tough market, man, it's just going to keep going with you. So let's see. Let me go to my next question. Let's see. What is the number one thing you would do? Actually, I got this same question from two of you. So I'll answer it one time. But Angela asked, what's the number one thing you would suggest an agent do to kickstart their business? I'm not a new agent, but I'm struggling to get my business going. And Ethan asked, how would you start from zero in today's market? Now, I don't know what markets you guys are in, but I'm going to tell you what I would do. Okay, if I was starting from zero, number one thing I would do is I would get in some sort of coaching program that shortens their learning curve for me, right? If I was a brand new agent, number one thing we need to do is shorten the learning curve. I would get into a program, some sort of coaching program to shorten that. That's the number one thing I would do. Number two, I would make sure that that program is centered around prospecting, centered around sales techniques and prospecting, right? Because that needs to be the foundation of your business. Even if you're generating leads, you can generate all the leads you want to from Facebook, right? But if you don't have the systems and the skill set and the tools to be able to follow up with them, to use scripts, to use dialogues, to control your mindset and stuff, those leads are all going to die in your inbox. You cannot tell me that agents listening to this right now have generated massive leads on Facebook that died in their email box, right? If you don't have the skill set and the systems to work them, those leads don't matter, right? You don't need to be in a program, really, to start out with to teach you how to generate another Facebook lead if you don't know what to do with the Facebook lead when you get it. Okay, the number one thing I would do is get in the program. I would pick a script. You can get mine. It's in my book, How to Be a FSBO Master. That's my basic script. I'd use one basic script for most all sellers. Maybe a couple of variations, change a question if you're calling for sale by owners or expireds. The number one thing I would do to get started was I'd get a script. Then I would look for data, right? And that data, I would go back and I would join Redex. Redex, if you join with them for 1 month, you get all the expireds. You can go back and get all the expireds for free. Okay, but then you can also you get all the expireds, but you can get the for sale owners for free. Then you get the expireds. And I'd go back and grab all of the leads from the last 2 years that came through. Now with the expireds, their system's going to sort those, so you're going to get all the ones weeded out that got relisted. But I would go back and grab the last 2 years. I might grab the last 3 years if you're in a really tough market like Denver, Colorado, San Francisco, California, Dallas, Texas, some of these crazy markets. I might grab the last 3 years. Okay, and then I would make myself a schedule and I would try to get through those leads as quickly as possible, calling, looking for people. Now, my experience is when I do this and I take massive action is typically if I end up with 2,000 leads, right, 1,000 leads, I'll end up with 1%, 1 to 2% that I'll have a conversation with where they're going to want to do something and that I believe they want to do something the next 30, 45 days, right? So that's what I would do, number one. And I would take those 20, 30 leads, that 1%, I'd get a spiral notebook and I'd write them down in there. That's where the center of my follow-up would be a spiral notebook. Okay, then I would go back through that list again and again until I talk to every single person on that list over the next week to 2 weeks. Now, if you do that, I guarantee you will end up with a massive amount of leads that you can work with that want to do something in the next 20, 30 days. Now, that's where I would start. That's where I would start in today's market. I've talked about that in my group coaching, like in depth on a call, like several times. But that's where I would start. Now, if you're starting at zero in today's market, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not an easy market to start in because there is a lot of competition. There's probably more competition than most of us have seen in our career, right? There's more agents in real estate school. There's more agents coming back into the market. The thing about those agents is most of them have zero training and most of them have zero plan. Now, I believe you have to have a plan, and that's one of the reasons why I give that to agents in my group coaching. That's why agents have been successful in my group coaching, is because they actually have a plan, right? Now, Bridget said my challenge is finding ways to generate and find more leads. Now, I'll tell you this. If you're in a tough market, and I don't know what market you're in, Bridget, but if you're in a tough market, one of the things you got to do is you got to get a little bit creative, right? I think that all you guys are in tough markets. I think every one of you should be going after for rent by owners because the market is going to change. We are going to head for a slump. We should be databasing for rent by owners like crazy. And you guys that will do this, that I'm telling you to do this, make the initial call. They're going to rent it before you ever even talk to them on the phone. Have a conversation with them, get their email address, send over your pre-listing package, start following up with them every 30, 45 days. Make this your for rent by owner farm. When the market changes in a year, when the market changes in 18 months, maybe we got 2 years in this market, but we usually don't. These sort of markets don't really last more than 12, 18 months most of the time. But at the end of 12, 18 months, the first thing we're going to see, the first indicator of the market going down is going to be rental rates going down. That guy that was getting $2,000 a month, all of a sudden his place goes empty. He's not going to be able to get $2,000 a month for it. He might only be able to get $1,800. If we go through a bad downturn, that guy that's getting $2,000 might only be able to get $1,200. There are condos right now. I used to do property management. There are condos right now that are renting for $1,200, $1,300 a month that 5-6 years ago you'd struggle to get $800 a month in my market, right? These people right now, rentals are easy as far as these for rent owners getting stuff. Now, it's not always going to be that way. And if you database these people and you build a relationship with them over the next 12 months, the next 18 months, who are they going to work with more than likely, right? You got to start doing this. And Bridget, you know what? I'll tell you what, landlord evictions are great. When I wrote a book called 53 Strategies How to Get More Listings, and we talk about a lot of this in my group coaching, but you got to get creative. You might want to call list penance. You might want to call municipalities. You want to get all of the, the code violations, right? From your local municipalities. That way, because some of those people, hey, they inherited the house, they don't have much money. Yeah, they built a deck without a permit, but the problem is they don't have the money to fix it, So where can we find people that are possibly in the situation that they need to do something with their house? We got to look for that. You guys on Zoom, if you have any other questions, post them in Zoom. I'm more. Oh man, we got a couple. Okay, we answer those. Let me go down through Facebook. You guys on Facebook, if you have any questions, please post them for you. I got some time here. Let's see. Dude, I can't wait for the market to shift too. Dixie, getting viable leads. Now, here's the thing. We got to start prospecting. That's another thing that agents are scared to do. Agents are unwilling to pressure their client to get started today. Sometimes we have to call our client. We have to call that person we've been following up with and go, hey, man, you keep telling me you want to sell your house, and I keep telling you I can get what you want for it. You want to sell your house. I sell houses. When you want to get started. Sometimes we got to do that. Sometimes we got to call them and say, hey, Dixie, this is Jason Morris. We've talked a couple of times about your house for sale. And, hey, look, I'm a really busy agent. If I didn't really believe I could sell your house, I wouldn't keep calling you. When do you want to get started? Sometimes we have to call and we have to make that statement. But what a lot of agents do is they make the first call. And I'll tell you what, nobody wants to work with you on the first call. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. And you are the equivalent of a telemarketer. But here's the thing, they need your help, and you need to have that mindset. They need your help. A lot of agents will call that first time, and they go, hey, this is Jason Morris from eXp Realty, and I was calling you because you got your house for sale by owner. And the person goes, we don't want to work with an agent. And they go, oh, okay. Here's the thing, nobody wants to work with an agent. Zig Ziglar used to have this thing he talked about. Nobody wanted to buy drill bits. What they needed was a hole, right? These people need to sell their house. A lot of them have a reason they want to sell their house. A lot of them have a problem, and selling that house is going to fix that problem. I don't believe that we move just to move as human beings because it's too damn much work. We're either moving because there's something going on. We got a better job. We lost a job. We're moving up. We're moving down. We can't afford the payment. We got $100,000 equity, and we're thinking about what we can do with that money, but that money's going to solve a problem for us, right? That money's going to solve a problem for us. People move because they have problems, and our job is to figure out what their problem is and how we can help them. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do to be successful. We got to build that mindset. Remember, we talked about mindset at the beginning of this. We got to build that mindset that we're calling them because we can help them. Yeah, they don't want to hire an agent. Damn, I wouldn't want to hire an agent too. Have you guys figured out how much 5, 6, 7% is on these listings that we're taking? It's a lot of money. Man, I don't want to spend that much money, but I got to sell my house, right? Most people, here's the reality of it on top of that, is most people, even if somebody walked up their door today and said, hey, Mr. Seller, I want to buy your house. I'm willing to pay you a full price offer. A lot of sellers have never actually sold their own house. They don't know what to do next. A lot of buyers have actually never bought a house. They don't know what to do next. Hey, unbelievably, a lot of times Agents or sellers will never ask the buyer, hey man, well, how are you going to pay for it? Hey, I know you want to buy my house. How you want to pay for it? They'll never ask the buyer, how are you going to pay for it? Have you been pre-approved? Do you have cash? And they'll just say, oh yeah, I talked to him, man. He's got money. He drove a nice car. He was wearing expensive shoes. I had a guy one time tell me I had money because I was wearing $400 shoes. Actually, I was wearing like $45 shoes, right? Told me that he knew I had money because I was wearing $400 shoes. And I mean, that is the mentality experience level of a lot of sellers out there today. So Becky asked, how do you compete with flat fee brokerages? They seem to be gaining speed around here. A seller who's liquidating rental property that I worked with last year just listed a couple of their properties as flat fee brokerage. Becky, there is going to be a small number of people that are going to go with flat fee brokerages, and there's nothing we can do with it. However, let's say in your market, these flat fee brokerages are really taking off. And let's say they get 10% market share. Guys, that's still 90% that are working with traditional brokerages. They're working with general brokerages that like me and you work for, right? The people that are going to go with flat fee listings, there's nothing we can do about it. Let them go with it. Just move on to the next person. I mean, that's the best advice I can give you. Not even if those flat fee companies are taking 10% market share, even if they get 25% market share in your market, still 75% are going with traditional brokerages like you and I. We're not going to get 100%. If you're playing baseball, right? If you were a 300, if you're batting 300 playing baseball and you end your career batting 300, that's 3 out of 10 times at bat you hit the ball, right? You get on base. 3 out of 10 getting on base. And you're probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. 4 out of 10, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You're going to win a bunch of awards, right? Here's the crazy thing in the real estate business. We don't have to be 3 out of 10 to make a lot of money. We don't have to be 2 out of 10 to make a lot of money. We can be 1 out of 10 and just get enough of at bats and make a lot of money in the real estate business. That's one of the most amazing calls. That's one of the most amazing things, amazing opportunities that we actually have. Ron, most for sale owners I run into don't have enough equity. What percentage of for sale owners in your market do you have to pass up because there's not enough to pay your commission? I'll tell you what, Ron, what we got to do is we got to have a pricing strategy that works. A lot of for sale owners, a lot of agents are using a pricing strategy that doesn't work. I like to use an active pricing strategy and price based on what we're actively competing against. Doesn't that make sense? We buy cars, we buy bed sheets, we buy all kind of things in life based on competition and who's giving us the best price for our money. But for some reason, we think that we should buy real estate based on a sale they had 6 months ago. A buyer serious about buying today can't go back and buy the house that moved 6 months ago. Now, what you need to do is you need to look at your market and really evaluate it. And is it going up and down? If your market is moving up, I would not be worried about listing a house a little bit higher than where you think it needs to be, because your pricing strategy cannot be a pricing strategy for today in 2018. Your pricing strategy needs to be a pricing strategy that works for the time frame that you are listing their house for, right? Just because the last one sold for $100,000, you're going to list theirs for $109,900, and it's the cheapest one in the community. Guys, that works, man. Sometimes you got to look ahead. I'll tell you, a while back, I listed a house. It was a 4-bedroom mobile home. Yeah. Listed for $99,900. Okay, now here was the thing. There was another property on the market for $84,900, right? So looking at it right off, it looked like, wow, I was overpriced. Pulling a 1-mile radius, pulling a 2-mile radius, it turned out that, man, that $84,900 property was the cheapest one in the community and the cheapest one in the area. And once that one sold, all of a sudden, like 30 days later, dude, my $99,900 property was the cheapest one in the area and the lowest price one in the school district. those people sold their house. You got to think through your pricing strategy. A lot of the stuff we're taught as agents don't make sense. So, you know what? I think that the problem with a lot of agents and them talking to for sale owners is they never build value. I think their value, a lot of agents' value is basically, Adam, is hey, my name's Jason Morrison. I got a real estate license. Look at my card. You know, I think that's the value they give. They never send over their pre-listing package. They never follow up. They never give useful information. They never differentiate themselves in any way. Dude, see, here's the thing. Adam said, I'm not proud to admit it, but I just sold a house that I knew would never appraise. I listed 30% over fair market value. It appraised. No relevant sold comps to justify the crazy selling price. The reason why that happened, Adam, is because the appraiser's job, his job is to support the contract price. A home is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. The fact that you have a contract means somebody's willing to pay that purchase price for it. You ever notice how the appraiser gets the contract? That's because the bank actually, we don't know what terms and conditions the bank is actually giving the appraiser to appraise by. I mean, sure, there's some standard things, but we don't really know what that is, right? Because we don't get them. And the thing is, the appraiser's job is to support the contract price, to justify the value of the collateral is equal or greater to the amount that's being lended. So it's really a very interesting situation and subject. I believe that most agents talking about appraisals are wrong. And if you guys don't believe me, then go ask their appraiser. But Adam, that's true. Sometimes, man, you get a 10% cut on appraisal and other listings with multiple offers. Dude, I had one a while back, man, and here was the crazy thing. So we had it listed for $119,900. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 3-car detached garage, and it was a cheap house. And dude, first offer we get, my clients accepted. It's like, I think it was like $110,000, if I remember correctly. It's like $110,000. So the first appraiser comes out and he appraises it for $80,000. I mean, this was a 3-car garage with an upstairs, like a full upstairs. Appraised it for $80,000. I mean, honestly, it was a little bit embarrassing. Like, holy shit, I'm $40,000 off on a $120,000 property. I mean, that's 30%. Like, I'm a third too high. But looking at it, man, everything was there. I mean, we get the appraisal back. It turns out the appraiser only gives $5 a square foot. They only give $5 a square foot credit for the house, for the detached garage. They considered it an outbuilding. They only gave $5 a square foot, which was crazy, man. I mean, crazy. I wish I could build one for $5 a square foot in my backyard right now. You know what I mean? So anyway, contract basically gets canceled, thrown away, whatever you want to say. Sellers had enough confidence in me. They gave me another shot. You know, we put the house back on the market. We immediately get an offer for 108. And I encouraged them, hey, look, let's go ahead and accept it. You know, they were worried about appraisal. I said, you know what, guys, let's just see what happens. That's all we can do, right? All we can do is see what happens. So, what ends up happening with the next thing is we get the appraisal. This one actually, we accept the contract for 108. This one actually appraised at 111. Difference was the bank was allowing him to give more towards the price of the outbuilding. The house hadn't changed. The actual value of the house was really the same between the two appraisals. Only difference was about the same between the two appraisals. Difference was the amount was given to the outbuilding. So, I mean, we can't control what the appraisal is going to be, man. If it doesn't appraise, it's just another conversation. that we have to have. It could be the banks are tightening up in your area because, prices have been stagnant for a while, you know. Um, so Amanda asked, if a for rent by owner asks you to send them what you charge, do you send it? I did, and they went with Redfin instead. Amanda, that's going to happen. It's going to happen sometimes. You can't judge your whole business or change your business by the reaction of one person, right? You're going to have a conversion ratio. There's going to be some people that are going to go with a discount brokerage. There are going to be some people that's going to go with a flat fee. But here's the thing. Here's the way that you make your business replicable and you scale your business is by having one listing system, one listing plan that everybody fits in that plan. Or your clients, the clients that you choose to work with, are going to fit in that plan. The other people that don't fit in the plan, hey man, I'm sorry. You don't fit in the plan. What are you going to do, right? You can't. Hey, if you got a car if you got a diesel truck, you can't decide you're going to put regular gas in it today. This is the same way. Have one plan. The problem is a lot of us as agents, we don't have one plan. We have a bunch of plans, right? Our plan changes based on the conversation with the client. And I'm not saying you shouldn't bend sometimes or shouldn't try to accommodate some people. But what I'm saying is that hey guys, I see agents and they literally sit there, and I'm guilty of doing this too. When I first started selling real estate, man, I would the biggest thing I would do was I was really good at getting my foot in the door, and then I was really good at telling the sellers what they wanted to hear and saying yes to any request they had. And what that created for me is that created a lot of tension. It created a lot of stress. It created me forgetting sometimes what I promised. It created situations where sometimes, man, I just couldn't do what I promised. And a lot of agents have that problem is they overpromise, right? Having a pre-listing package and sticking to that plan allows you to set expectations and not overpromise. So guys, what other questions do you have? I see it, man, I still got probably 40 people on here. What other questions do you guys have? I'm happy to answer them for you. What are the questions do you have? What things can I help you with? What are you struggling with? Any questions about my group coaching? Let's see. Ethan asks, what driving radius would you say for yourself as far as taking a listing? You know what, man? I'll tell you the thing about taking a listing is I always plan on buyer's agent going to show it. So honestly, I try to do the one trip thing, man. When I'm going to a listing appointment, I got my sign in the back of the car. On most houses, I think all agents should do this. I think you should buy a nice camera with a wide angle lens. I think you should take your pictures while you're there. Hey, if they're not ready to take pictures, hey, Mr. Seller, well, let's just get a few to get started, right? That way you can go ahead and get on MLS. If it's not on MLS, nobody's showing it. I promise you. You can always update pictures, but I try to do one trip out there. So I'll tell you, my market's kind of funky, man. In the summer, it's like 2 hours to go from the south end of Myrtle Beach to the north end of Myrtle Beach because of traffic. And it sucks. But I would say comfortably like 45 minutes to an hour from my house office. And if I do that, if I'm driving like farther than that, man, one thing I will do is say if I'm driving that hour, let's just say for example we're going to Ainer, South Carolina. For you guys listening to this and know where Ainer is, that's about 45 minutes to an hour with me. If I set an appointment in Ainer, and I like Ainer because here's the thing, they got an amazing school district, and houses that are priced well, that are move-in ready, sell very quickly out there. In if I know I'm going to Ainer, dude, I dig through all of my leads. If I know I'm going there Thursday, man, today I'll dig through every lead I can find for Ainer. Every person I've talked to, every person I hadn't talked to for Ainer, and I try to set a second appointment there. Right? I'll dig through my Z buyer, I'll dig through my Red X, I'll dig through, my notebook, and I try to get 2 appointments in on one trip. And I mean, guys, that's one of the things I do is, dude, I show up to do business. I feel like a lot of the reason why a lot of agents don't do well is, man, they never show up to do business. They never show up to do business, man. And it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. They'll work really hard to get the appointment, then they show up like completely unprepared. They don't bring comps with them. They don't do anything. And a lot of agents, their excuse is, well, I had to see the house first. I had to see it first, And I think that's kind of bullshit. I mean, having to see the house first. I mean, why? Dude, more than likely, it was probably already listed on your MLS one time before. I mean, that's pretty common. There's probably one down the street just like it. The seller hopefully asked enough questions where you got the general gist. You got the gist of things. You know what I mean? You gotta have an idea. You know how many bedrooms it has. You know about how much square footage. You know what kind of condition it is. So why do you have to go and show the house first? I tell you what, I see a lot of new people like get on here. I'm gonna go down through my stuff here real quick, and then we're gonna I'll answer some more questions, then we'll wrap it up for today. Why do most agents struggle? And I think this is a big deal. Agents are struggling in the business. I think the number one reason is I think it's mindset. For some reason, we don't think we have to work, but this is life. This is life. This isn't just the real estate business. I think the reason why there's a lot of great people out there that are super talented, that have a lot of resources financially from friends, family, whatever it is, and our significant other. And the reason why they struggle is because they don't believe they can do it. And it blows my mind that agents are out there spending the money to get into the business and don't believe they can do the business. And one of the reasons being is because the people around them. I believe that to break that, I believe that you have to be in a program. You have to be in a coaching program. You have to be in some sort of something that's going to keep you positive and keep you moving forward. You got to do it. Number 2, this helps me. I'm always reading something. I'm always listening to something. I'm always listening to a webinar. When I'm in my car, I'm not usually listening to radio. I'm not usually listening to music. What I'm listening to is something positive. On the way to my office this morning, I listened to Grant Cardone. Right? I listened to an older interview Grant Cardone did with Ty Lopez. And I mean, man, the thing is, it isn't so much the skill sets or anything I learned from that. I like the positive excitement they had talking. That's what I liked about it. Number 3, you got to evaluate the environment you're in. You got to look at the 5 people that you hang out with and talk to the most, and you got to look at the environment you're in. If you're in an office that's not positive, message me. Let's talk about it. If you're in an office that has the same environment as going to a funeral home, message me. Let's talk about it, right? Number 2, most agents, the reason why they're not succeeding is they don't have the tools to set up the close. And by tools, I'm not talking about your iPad. I'm not talking about the latest smartphone. What I'm talking about is your sales skills, right? I am talking about your sales skills. Most offices are not teaching real sales skills right now. They're not doing it because that's not the popular thing. Scripts and dialogues aren't fun. They're not exciting. You're not going to have a lot of people showing up to a script class, right? So they don't teach them. What they teach is they teach Facebook. They teach landing pages. They teach things that you're going to generate leads with, but you're not going to have the system to be able to control them. Or they teach things that cost so damn much money that you can't afford to do it, right? If you have any questions, go ahead and post them. I'm more than happy to answer them. Number 3 things you got to have. 3 things you got to have. You got to have a pre-listing package. You got to have it. You got to have a pre-buyer's appointment package. You got to have it. This sets expectations. Sets expectations with what you're doing with your business, right? It gives you a system to follow. Ron asked, when you're running comps, how in-depth you go for valuations on individual characteristics of each home, or do you run a simple search of similar houses and base your suggested price on an average? Ron, I don't like to use averages. What I like to do is price based on competition. I like to be able to sit down in front of them and say, hey guys, I think we should price, I know you wanted $125,000 for it, but we should price it at $150. Or I know you wanted $175 for it. However, at $175, this is where your house falls in the competition. So I like to look at it, but I like to be able to say, hey, I think we should price your house this way because, this one right here is on a pond, same house on the pond. Your house, is just like the same model as this one. However, you're on the pond and you got a lot of crown molding, you got new hardwood floors, you got a new roof, you got a new air conditioner. I want to be able to justify the price. And I think you have to be able to justify the price. And I don't think pricing based on averages and I don't think pricing based on solds is the way to do it. I just don't think it is because I don't think that I just don't think it's the way to do it. I talk about this in my book, How to Be a FSBO Master. I actually go in depth into my pricing strategy and using an active pricing strategy. And we buy everything, guys, we buy everything in our life based on competition where we get the best deal. If you're buying a car, you're not going to buy a used Chevrolet from the Chevrolet place just because of the Chevrolet place, right? I mean, you might go to the Ford dealership and buy that same used Chevrolet truck, but the reason you're doing it is probably because you can get a better price, or maybe you can get more features for the same money. Maybe you get less mileage for the same money, right? Maybe you're paying $1,000 more, but you get less mileage and you get a towing package, right? It's the same. People do the same thing and go through the same process with buying a house, I promise you. But as agents, we need to have a pricing strategy that people buy into. I teach this in my group coaching. This is a big thing I talk about, right? We don't really decide where to price the house anyway. The seller's telling us. You already know what they're going to price it at before you go up to the house, because hopefully you're asking them, hey, what will you take for your house? What price do you want for it? But you got to use scripts and dialogues. If you use scripts and dialogues and you ask the same question 100 times, 1,000 times, you're going to know all the answers to the question. It just makes sense to do it. Rather than do that, a lot of agents just wing it. They get on the phone, they say whatever they want to say, they talk about whatever they want to talk about. And as a result, what happens is sometimes they create objections, right? And number 3, you need real training and you got to have real systems. The number 3 thing I think most agents are struggling with, man, is they don't have goals. They don't have goals. I want to talk about this. I got time for another question or two. If you guys have any questions on Facebook, I see there's still a bunch of people on Zoom hanging on, listening. Go ahead and ask what questions you have. I'm more than happy to answer them. My group coaching is $35. If you sign up today, just use the code June30 at jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com. One of the things I think agents have, man, is they just don't set up goals. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where they want to go. They don't have hopes. They don't have dreams. They say, hey, I want to do this, but they never break down the numbers to figure out how they can get to where they need to be, get to where they want to be. I'll tell you, man, one of my goals is, a lot of my goals are financially based, because if you have enough money, it makes a lot of your other goals or plans a lot easier, right? It's kind of crazy, but you got to set goals. Guys, and here's the thing, even if you set a goal too low, you review your goal every morning. Got to review your goal every morning. That way you're thinking about it. You're thinking about what you can do, what's going to help you get a little bit closer to that goal, right? Review it every morning. And you got to evaluate your goals, because sometimes, I'll tell you what, sometimes, guys, sometimes, guys, when we're really working on our goals and we're setting ourselves up for success, man, and we're working hard and we got a solid plan, and that's what I give you. I give you a solid plan in my group coaching. Um, sometimes you got that goal. Maybe it's to list 10 properties a month, and you realize, hey, it's the 15th, and man, I've already listed 8. Guys, sometimes you need to go back and you got to reevaluate your goals. Sometimes you're working on things, right? And you got to reevaluate your goals. And sometimes your goals are a little bit high. And sometimes your goals are a little bit low. You know what I mean? Sometimes you set your goal really, really high, and it's just, it's really out of your reach. But still, you can push forward to it. You can work the numbers backwards again. Work the numbers backwards again and figure out, hey, is that goal still realistic? But you got to have goals. You got to have things you want to do. You got to have things you want to strive for. Sometimes guys in real estate business, and I'll tell you this, lots of times my goals aren't really around the real, going and winning an award in the real estate business anymore. Because honestly, winning an award doesn't really motivate me anymore. I won some awards, and you win the award, and it's like, oh, good. You go out to dinner and celebrate, and then you go home, and that award just collects dust. Sometimes the way after 14 years in the real estate business, the way I look at the real estate business now isn't a business I can go win an award and be competitive in. It's a business that's a vehicle that's going to get me other things I want in life. And so some of my goals aren't really set up around, hey, I need to take X number of listings or anything. My goals are set up, and then I look at my real estate business and how can my real estate business get me to those goals. Guys, if you need help getting to your goal, let me know. Send me a message. I'll be happy to ask it for you. So, hey, guys, my group coaching, guys, I want to help you. My group coaching, we do a call every week. I got a private group that's full of like-minded individuals that are all striving to reach goals, that are all doing the same things, that are all doing the same things to get to their goals, right? I mean, honestly, that's worth the price of the group. Even if I wasn't in the group, right, it'd be worth the price of the group. But there's a lot of support in there. I frequent it daily. I try to answer questions. I try to talk about stuff that makes sense, that's relevant. Relevant strategies, things to look out for. I mean, I'll tell you guys this. I've been in the business for 14, 15 years. I grew up around the business. Man, and you can ask the agents in my group coaching, the things I told you guys in October, November, they happened. Whether it was about the market, the way the market was going to change in the spring and the summer, those things happened. Guys, I'm going to teach you how to list expires. I'm going to teach you how to list for sale by owners. I'm going to teach you how to get listings in a tough market, how to get creative with your listing plan, how to get creative with your follow-up, how to get creative with your lead sources. I'm going to teach you how to take massive action, how to ramp up your business, how to get to where you want to be, how to set up a schedule that works for you, that works for your life, that works for the stuff that you want, right? I'm going to teach you how to take massive action to get ramped up to that level. Guys, I'm going to teach you how to make a schedule that works. You guys that are tired of canceling things with your friends, your family, stuff like that. I'm going to teach you how to hire a buyer's agent, how to build a listing-based business. Ethan, I tell you what, Ethan asks, do I work with buyers? Guys, I'll tell you this, for me, and this is the way I feel, there's no way for me to leverage my time and do as much stuff as I do, Ethan, while I drive buyers around every Saturday, Sunday on the weekends and bend my schedule to fit their needs. I will tell you, I will work with a buyer under a few circumstances, right? I set standards for my business, and that's really, really what you need to do. You got to set standards for your business. You got to set standards for your business. What types of buyers are you going to work with? What types of buyers? are you not going to work with, right? And then everybody else goes to your buyer's agent. That's how you leverage yourself, you leverage your time, and you build the business that you want to build. That's how you got to do it, man. You got to have a plan. And I've been posting things in there about buyers and buyers agents and stuff, about how to do that. So I teach you how to hire a buyer's agent. I got videos on how to do that, how to build a listing-based business, because that's how you're going to leverage things. That's how you're going to be able to go places and see things and not worry about stuff. One of my favorite stories I like to tell is, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Me and Laura were on a cruise. While we were on the boat, I sold 3 properties. I got executed contracts and everything. I made $18,000 while we were on vacation. While we were on vacation, I made $18,000 while we were sitting on the boat in the Caribbean. I mean, dude, you can't do that working with buyers. If you can, I mean, maybe you can get a buyer's agent and you can do it with the buyer's agent, right? But you cannot personally do that if you're trying to work with buyers exclusively. We were in Gatlinburg back in October. We evacuated. We were having a storm. We evacuated. We went to Gatlinburg. There's a little training event up there. That's how we picked Gatlinburg. While we're in Gatlinburg, at first we were going to stay like 3 days. We're going to hang out. We're going to see some stuff. I was going to go to this one-day training thing I wanted to go to. And that was going to be it. We ended up staying a week. While we were there for a week, I sold 2 properties. Guys, I made money every time we go somewhere. I make money while we were on vacation. I sell a listing, something sells, my buyer's agent sells something. Every time we go on vacation, I make money, right? I mean, I'll tell you this. Whose business is making money while they're on vacation, right? And number 10, the big thing I talk about, I like to talk about mindset strategies. I like to talk about my mindset. I like to talk about the mindset of sellers. I believe that we can understand the mindset of a lot of these sellers. We can understand how we can help them better. But I believe that we need to personally be working on our mindset every single day. Every single day, right? We take a shower every day, whether we need it or not. This is the same thing. I remember that was something my granddad used to say when I was a kid. You know, you got to take a shower every day, whether you need one or not. You got to work on your mindset every day. So, guys, I appreciate you guys being on the call with me today. This went about an hour and a half. Guys, in my group coaching is month to month, so there's very little risk. I'm not making you sign a 12-month contract. I hate it. I've signed up for coaches before, and 3, 4 months in, 5 months in, hey, guys, I got it. You know what I mean? Guys, you can sign up for my group coaching. It's month to month to get access to all the archives, all the videos. There's probably, there's probably 150, 200 hours of videos on probably about anything you can think of in the real estate business. There's a file section. There's scripts. There's so much more that goes with this thing. And guys, it's regular $99 a month. If you go ahead and join today, it's $35 a month. Just use the coupon code at June35 at jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com.